Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern. And it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we prepare for All-Star Race Weekend from the Charlotte Motor Speedway for Season 6 of the SRA Duracell Cup Series. We've got to figure out who the final 5 drivers will be that will qualify into the All-Star Race via today's All-Star Open. The All-Star Race is going to take place later on today. Got a total of 25 drivers. They're fighting for those 5 potential spots, which will give us a field of 22 in tonight's All-Star Race event. The biggest thing that stood out to me as I watched these cars being pushed out onto the grid is the big names that we have that have not made their way into the All-Star Race just yet. Again, the criteria to make it into the All-Star Race is if you've won a former All-Star Race, you're already locked into future All-Star events. And from last year's All-Star Race to today, if you had a Duracell Cup Series victory, you are also locked into the All-Star Race field. And we have to remember that last year, Season 5, we ended up having where there were 3 drivers per car, so a lot of your big-name drivers that you've seen in seasons past and here this season, they didn't have as many opportunities to get behind the wheel of their race cars and try and find victory lane. It was cut down by 2/3. They only were able to make 12 starts during the course of the entire season. So while it is amazing that we do not have certain drivers that are in this open already locked into the All-Star Race field, when you consider the criteria that there was last year with the 3 drivers per car, it does make a little bit more sense. But it's also going to make this All-Star Open very interesting because, as mentioned, there's a lot of big-name drivers, a lot of experience here in the field, and only a limited number of drivers are going to get into the All-Star Race event. Now, the way this goes down here today is there's going to be a total of 40 laps in this All-Star Open. At the end of 10 laps, that will be the completion of a stage, completion of lap 20, end of stage 2, completion of stage 3 will be at the completion of lap 30, and then the end of the race, the 4th and final stage, checkered flag at lap 40. The driver that leads at the end of each stage, they are automatically locked in, but we don't stop the cars, bring them down pit road, and restart for another 10 laps. No, we run through the entire 40 laps. So we will keep track of the drivers that end up leading laps 10, 20, 30, and 40's completion, and those will be the 4 drivers that race their way into the All-Star Race event. We're doing something slightly different this year as well in terms of the lack thereof of the fan vote. We were going to do the fan vote, but instead we're going to do something a little bit different. This year for the All-Star Race, we're doing the All-Star Open Lightning Challenge. Now, what does that mean? That means that the driver at the end of these 40 laps that has the fastest lap time set, they are going to qualify their way into the final spot in the All-Star Race event. Now, just to kind of make sure that the waters aren't muddied and get this out of the way, if we end up, say for instance, having a driver win stage 1 and then cross the line in first in stage 2, we're effectively treating whoever wins a stage as a ghost car. So, for instance, let's just use this as a possibility. Austin LaPlante, our pole sitter, ends up winning stage 1. Let's say that he also ends up winning stage 2. That does not count for the 48. The second place driver would be the driver that would win stage number 2. So if you've already won a stage here, It does not count. We move to the next driver. Same deal for the Lightning Challenge. If any of our 4 drivers that win one of these stages here today end up getting the fastest lap for the Lightning Challenge, we then go down the board to the next fastest lap, then the next fastest lap if we so have to. So that's how it basically is going to work. Hopefully that's not too confusing. One thing that's going to be interesting here as well, 40 laps of racing, if we get into a long green flag run, we may end up having pit stops, decide maybe winners of Stage 3 and Stage 4. We'll have to wait and see, though. Cannot wait. Let's go down trackside. Let's get those most famous words in motorsports. Let's get ready to go racing here in the All-Star Open at Charlotte.
Drivers, start your engines.
Right side of your screen, you'll see the 25 drivers that are going to roll off of pit road. Now, this is going to be a very important day as well with the Open and the All-Star race, because it's going to give us a little bit of an idea of what to expect next week when we begin the second half of the regular season. The Chase Tours, the chase for the championship, running the longest race of the season here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Coca-Cola 600. We've already run 3 of the 4 Crown Jewel races this year already, the 500, the Indianapolis race, and Darlington. And the Coke 600 is the last of those very early on in the season, but nonetheless. So Austin LaPlante Chevrolet, Dylan Young's Ford, former winners in Duracell Cup Series, but not since the All-Star race of Season 5. RJ Bishop still looking for his first career win. Michael Norman looking for his first victory of the season to complete the sweep for Michael Norman Motorsports. All 4 drivers going to victory lane, and then former champion Carson Gum going to complete the top 5 there in the 19 car. This All-Star race is also an opportunity for drivers that did not get the best start to the first half of the regular season to maybe get things turned around. We're going to be talking a bit about the playoff scenarios here heading into that Coke 600, but it's time to go racing. 40 laps, 4 10-lap segments. Green flag is in the air here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Inside line is going to be the preferred line, especially through 1 and 2, but as the tires heat up, the longer the run goes on, that outside line might start coming into play. Outside is the preferred lane, as you can see right there, through 3 and 4. So kind of opposites on either end of the racetrack. Going to make for some good side-by-side racing here in the Open and the upcoming All-Star race, as Austin LaPlante is going to lead the first lap. We will be checking in regularly to see who's got the fastest lap of the race and see if anything changes from that regard. One thing that's going to be interesting to see is, we'll check after the end of each one of our stages, and I wonder, with the field as clumped up as it is at the start, if that is the prime opportunity to lay down that lap time. Top 3 get themselves single filed out, and as soon as I say that, RJ Bishop got a nice run off of turn 4. He shows the nose to the inside of LaPlante, and it looks like he might take the lead here through 1 and 2. Rookie Noah Hendrickson going to follow in line. Now, we thought that heading into Chicagoland last week that we were going to maybe go 13 for 13 and different drivers going to victory lane, but we will be entering into the second half of the regular season with a multi-time winner, that being the driver of the number 12, rookie Destin Boland, when he took the checkered flag in that last lap pass at the Chicagoland Speedway. Destin also moved his way up into the top 30 in points. 12 spots gained up to 26, so he is right now in a playoff position. And so you have to wonder about drivers that have found victory lane this season as well, but only for one time, if they're going to be looking as well to find victory lane for another time or 2 to secure themselves that playoff position. As stacked up for 3rd, Reese Banks, Levi McIntyre. There's Charles Sanford in the 0-3. Chicagoland's a race he wants to forget because he was the driver that Destin Boland passed on the last lap to pick up that 2nd career win. I mentioned the fact about a lot of big names that are in this All-Star Open. It's amazing that they're not locked into the All-Star race. There's also a number of drivers that have had really good starts to the season, but just have been eluded by the checkered flag. Levi McIntyre is one of those drivers. He is 7th in overall points to start off the second half of the regular season. Michael Norman, who we saw start up towards the front, he's 3rd in points. James Qualls, who's back in the field here. Last time by, crossed the line in 12th position. He is 5th in the standings. So there's a lot of drivers that have had really good starts to the year. They just have not gotten that locked-in position via a trip to victory lane. Ali Liera, another of those drivers as well in this All-Star Open. She's 9th in points. Kind of ironic. RJ Bishop, Levi McIntyre, 1st and 2nd. When's the last time we mentioned that? Yeah, it was the Daytona 500 when the two of them tied for the pole position. Came down to 3 points in last year's standings. The owner's points that ended up giving RJ Bishop the pole position, and McIntyre had to be on the outside of the front row. But now those Fords have been broken up by the Chevrolet of Charles Sanford. Keep an eye on the ticker. You notice that we've just now crossed the completion of lap 7 on to lap 8, so that means that we would be at 3 laps to go in this stage. You lead at the completion of lap 10, you win stage 1, you're locked into the All-Star race, regardless of what happens in the next 30 laps. And right now, Charles Sanford is going to try and keep them all at bay. We've got, I believe, 2 of the S3 Motorsports cars locked into the All-Star race already. Kyle Matthews with his victory this year at the Coke Zero Super Speedway. He also had a win last year at Martinsville that locked him in. And then also Cole Deaver is locked into the All-Star race. Charles Sanford and Jessica Shelton are the 2 S3 Motorsports cars that are not yet locked in, and Charles is trying to be the 3rd car out of that team to be locked into the All-Star races. The white flag is in the air for stage number 1, and here comes Levi McIntyre, RJ Bishop, Dylan Young, Carson Gum. If they got anything for the Coca-Cola Vanilla Chevrolet, McIntyre shows the nose to the inside. Might have been trying to get a little air off the spoiler of that Chevrolet Camaro, but I don't think he's going to be able to get to him here through 3 and 4. It's like Charles Sanford might be home free. Sanford started 15th. And in a matter of 10 laps, he worked his way to the lead. And he's going to win stage number 1. Charles Sanford will be moving on to the All-Star race. So now it's a question of who is going to join him. This would be the battle for the lead now between Dylan Young and Levi McIntyre. Carson Gum right there as well in the 19. Reese Banks in the 44. And RJ Bishop in the 99. Let's check and see up to this point who has the fastest lap of the race. And our telemetry right now says it's Caleb Fogler with a 30.594. Fogler right now is running in the 14th position. But if he were to keep the fastest lap here in this race, wouldn't matter where he finishes, he would be moving on to the All-Star race via the Lightning Challenges. Dylan Young in P2, but right now, theoretically P1, with Charles Sanford winning stage 1. He's essentially a ghost car at this point in time. So he's just out there logging laps and maybe trying to figure out what that car is going to feel like for the long run in preparation for the upcoming All-Star race. And will Dylan Young try and get by Charles Sanford? Or would he be content to ride behind the 0-3? I think the answer would be he'd want to get around him because Carson Gum had an amazing 3 and 4 and closed up about 2 car lengths between himself and Dylan Young in just those 2 corners alone. And now hounding the back bumper of Dylan Young for what would be the race lead. The field got kind of spread out from 6th place on back, and now they've all started to accordion back up again. Austin LaPlante, Rob Evans, Lauren Chung, Jesse Turner, they're all starting to enter into the vicinity. DeYoung is going to get ahead of Charles Sanford, so he is now firmly in control of the lead, most importantly, out in that clean air. You're you're in the draft, you can get great runs down the straightaway, but you get really arrow tight. Feel that push through the corners, especially off of 2 and 4. As now we'll battle for second. Michael Norman to the inside of Carson Gum. Looking back to see what other drivers might be heading up into this conversation. Caleb Fogler, who as we checked after the completion of stage 1, had the fastest lap. He's now starting to creep his way up here. A couple of teammates out of Fortnite Squad Racing, Dylan Pote and Anthony McCrory, also making their way up here. Looked like Quentin Moore and Benjamin Miles also there. Got some drivers that have seemed to kind of taper off of this lead group, including Qualls and Haas and Shelton, Liera and Nathan Ormond. We'll see if they're going to be able to get back up here. Still a long ways to go. Plenty of opportunity to get up here, even if you don't win the second stage, to win stages 3 or 4. And of course, as well, that lightning challenge comes into play. If you're back in the tail end of this lead pack, you might be able to get a good draft lap to put you at the top of the board in terms of fastest lap. Going to be 3 to go here in stage 2. Charles Sanford has now kind of made an exit. He's back outside of the top 5. RJ Bishop and Dylan Young, teammates out of Young Motorsports, now going to duke it out for the race lead. Levi McIntyre going to offer a little bit of drafting help to the 98 through 1 and 2. Paul Sitter LaPlante now up to 4th, trying to fight his way back up. Doesn't necessarily look like it is a track position type race. I was talking about the fact we'll be taking notes in this race and the All-Star race in preparation of what to expect for the upcoming Coke 600. And you got Levi McIntyre up here, who started back in 13th. Charles Sanford won stage 1 from the 15th position. So we've had a number of drivers be able to work their way from outside the top 10 up to the front of the field. You see the purple Yahoo Toyota Camry of rookie Laura Chung. She started back in the 22nd position, and last time by she was scored in 8th. I think this time by she was in 6th position. White flag was in the air, in case you've been keeping track there. Lap 20 went on the board. Next time by will be the completion of lap 20, and it looks like RJ Bishop in that Kroger Monster Ford Mustang out of Young Motorsports has clean sailing here through 3 and 4. So RJ Bishop is going to join Charles Sanford, locking himself into the All-Star race via a stage victory. That now drops us back to the battle between Austin LaPlante and Levi McIntyre as we begin stage number 3. Let's check in on our Lightning Challenge. Caleb Fogler at the end of stage 1 had the fastest lap. Does he still? Yes, he does. Our ticker still shows his 30.594 as the fastest lap on the board. Fogler, however, has now moved his way up into, well, it's 5th on our ticker, but it would be 4th, with RJ Bishop now basically a ghost car. There you see one of the co-defending champions of the series there, battling with Rob Evans. Kicked up on that high side, though, was Caleb Fogler, and he might start to lose a couple of the positions he gained in the last few laps. There's Rob Evans in the 65 now. He'll be the highest Chevrolet, getting around Austin LaPlante, following the tire tracks of rookie Reese Banks in the 44. I mentioned about the fact that there are a number of drivers in the field here in the Open, not locked into the All-Star race, that had great starts to Season 6. On the flip side, there's a number of drivers that had, well, not to sugarcoat it, awful starts to the season. It could be an opportunity for them to use this midway portion of the regular season to get things turned around. Cody Lamas, Dylan Pote, Reese Banks, Anthony McCrory, Benjamin Miles. Those are some drivers we're going to have to keep an eye on, and 2 drivers that we'll also have to keep an eye on. I mentioned the fact that with his second victory last week at Chicagoland, Destin Bolin moved up for the first time this season into the top 30 in points. 2 drivers dropped outside the top 30 in points with poor performances, and they were former winners from this season. Daniel Voiles, our winner from North Wilkesboro, he'll be beginning the second half of the regular season in 36th. And Joshua Osborne, our Pocono winner, he will be 38th. So those two drivers are going to need to get themselves back into the top 30 in the point standings with the remaining 13 races if they're going to have a shot of battling for the championship in this year's playoffs. McIntyre right now, theoretically the leader. LaPlante's going to challenge him for that. Dylan Poteet there in the 31, Fogler in the 28 as McIntyre got really tight off of turn 4 and almost, he might have brushed the wall. If not, he got very close to making contact with the safer barrier. See how that checked up that entire outside line. Samuel Ryder going to overdrive turn 1 a bit as he slipped up a half groove. That opened the door for Laura Chung. As this time by, be 4 laps to go here in stage 3. And as I mentioned too, not certain if 40 laps is going to be enough for them to make it on what they started this race on Sunoco fuel-wise, but we could end up having pit stops here, if not before the completion of stage 3, somewhere in the middle of stages 3 and 4. RJ Bishop back to the inside of Austin LaPlante. He's already transferred into the All-Star race, but he can certainly mix things up, and this could help Laura Chung in the 77 to try to get to the inside of LaPlante. Not going to happen. LaPlante, strong power move around the outside, and here we go. Pit stops right on the eve of stage 3. So it may come down to who tries to stretch it here. Caleb Fogler going to stay out an extra lap. 3 to go here in stage 3. Can anyone go an extra 3 laps? Or will they all have to pit before we end up seeing the green and white checkered flag? When LaPlante pit and a number of the other leaders, it really checked up the field, and that gave Fogler quite a bit of distance here coming to pit road. Now he's on pit lane with Samuel Ryder, Matt Haas, Dylan Poteet, and others. We've got a trio that elected to stay out with 2 to go in stage 3. Reese Banks, Levi McIntyre, and Anthony McCrory. None of them yet have transferred into the All-Star race. This next time by would be the proverbial white flag in stage 3. Do any of these 3 drivers have the guts to try and make it another mile and a half? Banks is coming in. McIntyre's in. And so is McCrory. This may cycle the race lead around to the 77 of Laura Chung. But we're going to have to wait and see here, because maybe those 3 drivers that came down pit road might do a gas and go to try and get back around to the start-finish line first. Here come the rest of the drivers off pit lane that were the second group. Where's the 28 of Caleb Fogler? There he is, and so this would be an exchange potentially for the lead here. But now we got to wonder about the 44 of Reese Banks, the 99 of Levi McIntyre, and the 61 of Anthony McCrory. Banks is down and away. McIntyre's down and away. There goes McCrory. Here comes Chung out of turn 4 to the start-finish line. White flag is in the air. It was in the air when Reese Banks crossed the line on pit road. So this next time by, whoever gets to the line first is going to win this stage, and it looks like it's going to easily be Laura Chung. You saw her swing around the 44 of Reese Banks. And Laura Chung through 3 and 4 with a huge gap back to Austin LaPlante. Is going to come out of turn 4, and Laura Chung is going to be the first rookie to race her way into the All-Star race here via the All-Star Open, as she's going to win stage number 3. So that's a Chevy, a Ford, and a Toyota that have all transferred their way into the All-Star race. And this would now be the battle for the final transfer spots between LaPlante, Matt Haas, Rob Evans, 3rd back through 5th, since RJ Bishop in 2nd is already locked in, as is the 77 of Laura Chung. You got Carson Gum and Caleb Fogler also here in this front group that would be trying to battle for that final spot. Now Fogler, after the first and second stage, had the fastest lap. Things have gotten spread out, so I'd be surprised if that lap hasn't held up. Let's double check and see. And indeed, he still has the fastest lap of the race, does the driver of the 28. So in all honesty, I would be surprised if anybody beats that here in stage 4. I think Caleb Fogler will be moving on to the All-Star race via the Lightning Challenge. And that would mean, I believe, yes, that all three of the Blue Oval Automotive Fords would be in the All-Star race. William Hoer with his win earlier on this season, and Jose Mills being a former All-Star race winner. And why is that important? Well, 3 of the past 5 All-Star races have been won by drivers out of the Blue Oval Automotive stables. So that's an interesting little nugget to kind of put aside in preparation for tonight's All-Star race event. Rob Evans tried to get around RJ Bishop because Bishop is not for position. Bishop's already locked into the All-Star race. Rob Evans needs to worry about the 48 of LaPlante. Matt Haas right there in the 8 car. He'll be the points leader starting off the second half of the regular season. 21 points in hand over William Hoer. Still looking for his first win on the season and try to find his way into this year's All-Star race event. Caleb Vogler's going to get around him. I'm sure the spotters have been keeping an eye, the crew chiefs have been keeping an eye on who's had the fastest lap, with Vogler having the fastest lap of the race. I'm sure that they're telling their drivers, don't battle him. He's probably going to transfer his way in. Rob Evans got around Austin LaPlante, so now Evans would be the leader here in Stage 4. Again, if you're just joining us, Charles Sanford won Stage 1, RJ Bishop Stage 2, Laura Chung in Stage 3. So the 77, 98, and 03 are effectively ghost cars. Caleb Vogler right now has the fastest lap, so he would be into the All-Star race via the Lightning Challenge. Right now, in the shot that I can see, it's Rob Evans, Austin LaPlante, Matt Haas, Carson Gum that are battling for the final spot, trying to win this 4th and final stage, which now has 4 laps to go. Number of drivers way back there after the cycle of pit stops will not be partaking in this year's All-Star race. Ali Liera, Jessica Shelton, Dylan Young, Anthony McCrory, Jesse Turner, Benjamin Miles, they're all more than 10 seconds back. Michael Norman's way back there as well. Dylan Potey, James Qualls. They'll all have to try and pick up a victory here in the second half of this regular season, as well as maybe in the playoffs to try and lock themselves into next year's All-Star race. Checking the speeds again, it's still Vogler's fastest lap. So I think our battle right now is between the 65 of Rob Evans and the 8 of Matt Haas, who makes a move to the inside of Laura Chung to try and close up there on the 65. Carson Gum in the 19, Austin LaPlante in the 48 still could have a say in this, but they're going to have to start making moves pretty quickly here, and battle for the lead is on. Matt Haas to the inside of Rob Evans, and Matt Haas will go to the top position. Carson Gum's going to move into 3rd, LaPlante into 4th, Evans right now in 2nd. And this next tie-by will be the white flag. Charles Sanford, does he try to get to the inside of Matt Haas, open up the door for a fellow Chevrolet to win this stage? White flag is in the air, 1 lap to go. Carson Gum to the inside of Rob Evans. And now Sanford to the inside of Matt Haas. Carson Gum might take advantage of this, but he pushes up the track. LaPlante's going to try and make a move. Can Carson squeeze down in front of the 48? No, he can't. The 48 is there. But Matt Haas has a great run on the top side through 3 and 4. Matt Haas is going to come off the final corner, and Matt Haas is going to get the final transfer spot into the All-Star race. 2 Toyotas, 1 Chevrolet, 1 Ford, transferring in via the All-Star Open with stage victories. And Caleb Vogler, his 30.594 in the early going of the race, back in the first 10 laps, is going to hold up. He will be the 2nd Ford to lock himself into the All-Star race via the Open. So it'll be Sanford, Bishop, Chung, Haas, and Vogler, who will join the other 17 drivers already locked into the All-Star race later on tonight. We'll show you the finishing results, but again, the 5 drivers named off are the only 5 that are going to be moving on to the main event later on tonight. Of those that transferred, you've got Haas with the victory, obviously, Sanford in 2nd, Chung in 4th, Fogler in 6th, and Bishop in 8th. So they all finished up inside of the top 10. They will be starting shotgun on the field for the All-Star race, but as we saw, a number of drivers were able to work their way from outside the top 15, top 20 up to the front. So that may not mean necessarily such a bad thing for those drivers, and it's going to be a smaller field in the All-Star race than it even was here in the All-Star Open. 3 less cars, 22 in the All-Star race. We had 25 here in the All-Star Open event. But congratulations, the 5 drivers that transferred in, 4 via the stage victories, Charles Sanford, RJ Bishop, Laura Chung, Matt Haas, and Caleb Fogler via the Lightning Challenge. So both of the co-defending champs from last year will be represented in the All-Star race. If you guys enjoyed this All-Star Open, boy, it should be a good one for the All-Star race coming up later on tonight. Be sure to join us for that. And then, if this race was good and tonight's race later on will be good as well, you'll want to tune in next week for the Coca-Cola 600, the longest race of the season here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway to kick off the second half of the regular season. But until the All-Star race later on tonight, if you enjoyed this broadcast, be sure to give me a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We showed you your full official results from this Open. We gave you the 5 drivers that are transferring into the All-Star race. And until that All-Star race later on this evening, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.